Hi everyone, welcome to class. Lovely to see you all. We'll get started standing up. So find yourself a comfortable footing, something that makes a bit of sense for you. I tend to take my feet a little bit wider than hip width distance, but you might go hip width distance. You might be somebody who really enjoys having your feet close together side by side. I am not that person, but if you are that person, absolutely feel free to go for it. And we're just going to start with a little bit of stillness, but before we get there, if you do want to have a bit of a wiggle or a stretch or anything that feels kind of necessary to drop yourself into a bit of stillness, please feel free to kind of roll shoulders or make any movements you feel like you need to before you're able to kind of stack yourself in a neat-ish, a straight-ish line through the body. Thinking about rooting the feet down into the ground and feeling the legs just gently switched on, so not kind of really forcing and engaging the legs, but kind of finding that gentle draw up through the thighs. The body is stacked effortlessly on top of the hips and the head balances on top. Everything is sort of in a reasonably kind of effortless, easy alignment. The hands can just hang by the sides. If you want to, if it makes sense for you here, you're welcome to close the eyes. If closing the eyes doesn't feel right for you, you're welcome to keep them open and maybe bring your gaze to just look down gently towards the floor instead of closing the eyes completely. However you are bringing yourself into this stillness, see if you can become still, and then just in the moment that happens, see if you can stop and become aware. It's a bit tricky because I've launched you right into it straight away. But as soon as that stillness kicks in, can you become really aware of it straight away? Noticing how it feels to be still. Noticing the sensations that move through the body. Noticing if you are still or if in fact there is small, subtle, easy movement, the rhythm of the breath, just a kind of gentle rocking through the feet. Sometimes that happens naturally. Just observe what this moment feels like for you. Noticing length through the back of the spine, particularly with the inhale breath. Noticing softness between the shoulders and the ears, particularly on the exhale breath. And whatever is here, our aim is to just meet it here. So if there is restlessness or irritation or fatigue or kind of giddy sensations, nervous energy, excitement, any of that stuff, your aim is to meet it where it is. Maybe noticing the way the breath moves through the body, that length in the spine, then that softness rippling down from the shoulders, but not trying to make it into anything. Again, that's another element of kind of our dropping in at the beginning of the practice. We're not trying to make the breath into anything. We're just letting the breath be what it is. Observing the way it moves. I'm going to take a couple more breaths in stillness, in quiet here, just observing the body as it becomes still. And then when you feel ready, when your body gives you the cue it's time to move, you might use an exhale breath to let your chin fall to your chest. Not forcing it down, just letting the chin hang towards the chest. The back of the neck is long. And then from there, there's, as there often is in my classes, no instruction really, but other than to move the head and the neck in a way that feels appropriate, in a way that feels good as a starting point, as a waking up point for the body. Maybe rolling the chin very gently through a small rotation, or maybe taking the head through a much bigger circle, whatever feels right to you. Maybe the shoulders are a little bit involved, lifting and lowering, slumping and rolling alongside this movement that you've found through the neck. And if movement doesn't feel right, you don't have to move the head. You can keep the head hanging chin to chest. We'll go for another breath here, just rolling, easing through the neck in any way that you see fit. And then eventually, we'll let the chin hang back to the chest. On your next inhale breath, whenever it happens for you, you're going to start to find the hands rising up and outwards. And as the hands press outwards, imagine you're kind of pressing out the walls of the space you're practicing in. As the hands press outwards, let the chin begin to lift, let the chest begin to lift. And when you come up to that kind of full expansive wingspan, you might find a slight tilt of the chin up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, you're just going to let it go. Let the hands float back by your sides. Really kind of nothing technical there, just letting it switch off. The chin might fall slightly to the chest again. We're going to do exactly the same thing as we just did. So you know at this time you can feel your way into it a bit more. Use an inhale breath to start the movement, finding the hands rising up and pressing out level with the chest. The shoulder blades maybe squeeze together on the upper back to get you a bit more feeling, a bit more stretch. The chin might lift and tilt towards the ceiling at the end. And then the exhale breath, when it kicks in, is going to let the hands float gently back by the sides. The chin might fall back to the chest one more time. So we're going to use that in a familiar pattern of breath that we've definitely come across before. On your inhale, when it happens, not hurrying into it or rushing the breath, you're going to scoop the hands up towards the center of the chest. And as you exhale this time, pressing out towards the sides. Your inhale gathers the hands above, bringing them up as much as makes sense for you. So not coming up into a tight position for uncomfortable shoulders. You can stay wide if that's better. As you exhale, you bring the hands down however you like. So maybe they're in prayer, maybe they press downwards, maybe they float downwards. Totally your choice. So you find the downward movement that suits your body. We'll go again. Inhale to gather up towards the center of your chest. Now that you've got a feel for it, exhale, pressing out, starting to make the movements your own, make them the kind of sensations that feel good for you. Inhale, arms rising up. Exhale, hands draw down, however you like. Sticking with that. Couple more rounds of that. Slow, with your breath, not necessarily with mine. The inhale draws upwards. The exhale presses outwards. Perhaps you could think about softening your knees and expanding across the front of the chest. The inhale gathers up. Maybe you push the floor away, root down to really reach towards the ceiling. Exhale draws the hands down, however you like. Last one, floating through like that. Your inhale gathers the hands up and in. Your exhale breath presses out. Inhale, reaching up, maybe pushing feet into the floor. Maybe you're going to squeeze the glutes, lengthen the body up towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands travel down, however you want. Very nice. From here, letting the hands just hang by the side. So all of that power, that energy, that reaching through the fingertips and that kind of firing up of the arms, see if you can switch it off. Notice maybe the way the arms kind of tingle. The fingers and the palms might have a little bit of a kind of activity buzz in them. And we're just going to keep the arms as soft, really, as we can. And we're going to use one arm to guide the other. So I kind of struck upon this just when I was rolling around on the floor, really. And I really liked it. So we'll see how it goes. If I find it really hard to explain, I might have to stop and slow things down again. But you're going to use your right hand to begin with. The back of the right hand will sweep across the body and pick up the wrist of the left hand. The back of the right hand resting against the wrist of the left hand, coming in underneath. And all it's going to do is lift that left arm up and over. So there's a big reach out to the side through the right hand, but you're looking to circle the left arm up and overhead. As you get to the top, you're turning the right hand in towards the left palm and using it to drag the left hand down. So the grip changes slightly and you're using it to pull the left arm over and down. Don't worry, we're going to do a couple of these. So you've got a kind of an opportunity to play around with it. It brings you all the way down to the bottom. You'll go again, the back of the wrists. So you're going to turn the hand again, back of the wrist, guide the left arm up and over. So lifting it with the back of the hand. You get to the top, you're going to turn the right hand and you're going to drag the left hand down with the palm of the right hand. I'm hoping that is clear in words if you can't see what I'm doing in the picture. We're going to go one more time. The back of the right hand lifts the left wrist. And then you'll flip the right hand and drag the left palm down. So finding a little bit of rounding in the upper back maybe. The belly pulls to the spine. You're not loading too much into the lumbar spine. We're going to change direction. So just flipping over, letting the left wrist take the soft right hand up and around. So the back of the left hand leads the right wrist up and overhead. You get to the top, I think you might be able to see it better there. And I'm going to turn my left palm and drag the right hand over and down. It's quite hard to do this and speak because I think I'm feeling it maybe just a bit more than I anticipated. You're turning the left hand, you're turning the left hand and using the left wrist to lift the right hand up and around. Back of the left hand comes all the way to the top and then you turn the left hand palm, drags the right hand down, soft through the knees, round the upper back as much as you need to here as you come through. The last time. The back of the left hand guides the right arm up and over. So big stretch in the left shoulder as you come round. And then as you're coming up to the top, there's a bit more stuff going on in the side to the waist. You flip the palm over and you find that big stretch through the right shoulder, all the way down the right side of the body as you come down through to center. When you get down to the bottom, let the upper back round, let the arms just hang. So you're not in a forward fold, but you've just got a slight rounding in the upper back. What it looks like. So I've got a little bend in my knees and I'm just letting my shoulders hang forwards. Maybe the arms are moving, maybe they are still. Just let them be really heavy. From here, you're going to pull the belly button in, and as though you were working a roll up, but it starts just in the middle of your back, you'll stack the bones of the upper back into place. Shoulders roll into place, head comes up last. And once you've found yourself there, we'll start to find a little bit of a bigger, kind of easier movement. And we're going to find a kind of cat-cow shape with the back, but we'll use the hands to help that happen. I actually think it's easier to see from the side. So when you're ready, you're going to reach the fingertips up and out in front. You're going to interlace all 10 fingers and press the palms of the hands out towards the front. And if that push of the palms is challenging in the wrists, you're going to let go of the grip and just grab one hand over another. So you're pushing out through one hand. Press the hands out towards the front as you pull the belly button back towards the spine. And once you've found yourself in that position, you're going to wait until your next inhale breath kicks in. And when it does, the arms begin to reach up. The chest lifts, the glutes really squeeze, push the hips forward to lift the gaze. Your exhale breath pulls the belly back. Maybe a bend in the knees here so that you can get that real round and arch, push the hands out in front. Keeping that going, so your inhale breath lifts you up. Your exhale breath pulls the belly button to the spine and rounds you in, soft in the knees. Maybe tucking the tailbone underneath slightly. We'll go for a couple more at your own pace with your own breath. As you get into these, don't feel like you have to kind of stick with a strictly linear movement. If there is a slightly different way that you're keen to go, if at the top you want a bit of a wiggle, or you want to find a very subtle circle as you come through, you can absolutely do that. We'll go for a last one. Use your next inhale to rise up, lift the chest. Use your exhale to spread the arms out wide, let the hands come down. Very nice. So from here, hopefully now we've got a little bit more movement in the shoulders, a little bit more movement in the spine. We're going to start to ask a bit of the hip flexors in the belly. So firming down to your left foot, engaging the left foot with the floor. You're going to draw the right knee up and away. You're going to draw the right knee up, bringing the right foot up and away from the mat. And it doesn't have to come up really high. It doesn't want to kind of come towards your chest. It's just coming up until the knee maybe is roughly in line with the hip. The toes are pulling back towards your face on the right foot. So the right foot is active. If you leave it to hang, it just becomes a dead weight and it's going to probably knock you over. Your left foot reaches down, as if you were trying to reach your toes right the way down and scrunch up the center of the earth with the toes. Maybe that's a bit deep. Literally, another pun. But that's the sensation I'm after, reaching down through the left foot. Your left hand is going to come across onto your right knee. Take an inhale breath, lift through your chest. As you exhale, press the left hand into the right knee. Feel the muscles of the belly switch on. Push, 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 push. Exhale, pulls the belly button back to the spine. Inhale, let it go, lift through the chest. Exhale, another press. Press left hand into right knee. It doesn't matter if you wobble, you're going to just come back and join us where we are anyway. Pull the belly button in towards the spine. Inhale to let it go. You can release the right sole of the foot back to the floor. Give the legs a bit of a wiggle and just see if you can notice the difference between the crease on the right side and the crease of your hip on the left side. So you want maybe a bit of an ache, a bit of a tingle, a bit of a kind of waking up in the crease on the right side. We'll do the same on the other side. Anchor down through the right leg, as if you're reaching down to scrunch your toes in the center of the earth. Left knee lifts up. Left foot comes away from the floor and immediately it's switched on. If you bring it up and let it just hang there, it's going to wobble and knock you over. So immediately those left toes are active. From that position, your right hand is coming across the body, but you're trying not to turn in towards the leg. So you're bringing right hand onto the left knee. Take an inhale, lift up through the chest. Exhale, press, hand against knee. Push, 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 push. The whole of your exhale breath, the belly button pulling in towards the spine. Feel the stomach muscles really tighten up. Inhale to release it. Lift the chest. Exhale to press, hand against knee, push. If you're exhaling through the mouth, feel the belly button pulling in. And then let it go. Inhale, you can release the left leg back down to the floor. Give them a pedal, give them a bit of a shake if that feels good. And we're going to use that. So bring yourself to the top of the space that you're working in. If you're not there, if there's not some room behind you, take a couple of steps forwards just so that you're up near roughly the top of your space. And then from here, we'll take the left foot firmly planted on the floor, lift the right knee up in line with the right hip. So you're finding this steady, steady balance. We're going to inhale and lift the fingertips up and overhead. Doesn't matter if you wobble like crazy, that is you stabilizing, that's the core switching on. And as you exhale, you're going to interlace the fingers and push the palms out in front as you step the right leg back behind you. Press, press, press through the hands. Exactly the same as we did when we had our standing cat-cow. From here, your inhale is going to lift the chest as the back knee finds the floor. So you're coming down into your low lunge. Back toes can stay tucked under for stability. You're lifting through the chest on your inhale breath, and you're exhaling to push the hands out in front, to pull the belly back towards the spine, to round in. We're going for a couple of these on this in this position. So inhaling to lift through the chest. You can let the hips drop down and forwards. Exhaling to pull the belly button back towards the spine. Maybe the hips move back in space slightly, as if you're pushing something heavy away. Inhale to lift, last time. Exhale to round in, pull the belly button in. From here, the hands are going to come down to find the floor. You're breathing normally steady through the nose. And from this position, we're going to send the right leg back, tuck the toes, pop the back knee. So back into our low lunge, but fingertips are on the floor. Maybe at this point, we can get the palms of the hands down on the floor. And if you can't get the palms of the hands down on the floor, a neat little trick is to take the left foot out wide to the side, because then there'll be room for you to put the left hand down. If you've taken it out to the side, it's also easier to sweep it back and stack it beside the right and find your plank, because that's where we're headed. So you'll step the left foot back to join the right foot. We'll find plank, and we're going to hold here for a couple of breaths. So if you need to, you are absolutely more than welcome to release the knees to the mat here and come into a half plank. As we find our plank, I want to think about a part of the body that I don't often talk about. See if you can locate with your mind your bottom rib. And you're not squeezing it in towards the chest. You're not squeezing it in towards the belly, sorry. Instead, you're just thinking about hugging the bottom rib in towards the body. See if you can hug the bottom rib in and squeeze the glutes. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, release the knees to the mat if they weren't there already, and we're going to push back your version of something like child's pose. So I found myself, I taught a beginner's class quite recently and found myself calling this a long body stretch. And that's because that's literally where we're going, or what we're looking to find. If you don't fancy full child's pose with the forehead on the floor, you can wiggle, you can roll the hands around, you can let the palms face the ceiling. The knees might go wider than the hips. You might not even be that low down. You might rest on your elbows and send your hips back. Entirely your choice. A long body stretch of your choosing. Coming back to your breath. And then from this child's pose, when you feel ready, we're going to walk the hands in towards the knees. So we'll bring ourselves through a sort of kneeling position, but the hands are down on the floor. You're going to tuck the toes underneath you and peel the knees away from the mat. We're bringing ourselves to a forward fold, but we're getting there kind of stage by stage. So fingertips to stabilize you as you lengthen the hips up towards the ceiling. So you can keep the heels high until you get to that very last moment, maybe releasing the heels down to the ground. You can adjust the feet if you want to. The fingertips might have come away from the floor, and that's fine if they've had to for your forward fold to take place. You might want to bend through the legs. You might want to shake the head, catch hold of opposite elbows. You've got all sorts of movement here that could feel right. So you're welcome to test stuff out, and if anything doesn't feel right, you can absolutely skip it, let it go. When you feel ready, put a bend in your knees. Take your big inhale as you sweep to stand, the arms rise up and overhead. Exhale, the hands come down however you like. Maybe they float down by your sides, maybe they come down through prayer, or maybe they press down towards the ground, your choice. Same as we did when we were working that breathing exercise, you seal it out the way that makes sense for you. And then we'll take a couple of steps back to the top of the space that we were working in. And we're going to do exactly the same thing, rolling through on the other side. Ooh, there's my fancy camera losing focus. We'll just give it a minute. There we go. It's moving too quickly. Anchor down through the right foot. Find the right foot firm against the ground, reaching down. And then you'll bring the left knee up and away. The left toes are flexed. You're immediately finding that draw up and in, hugging up and in through the center line of the body as you press down through the right foot. You'll take your inhale to bring the arms up and overhead. Interlace the fingers. Use the exhale to push the hands out in front to act as your counterbalance as you send the left foot back in slow motion to your high lunge with the hands pressing out in front. As you take your inhale, the chest lifts and your left knee finds the floor. Exhale, you're pulling the belly button to the spine and rounding in. Back toes can stay tucked if that helps you feel stable, or untucked if that gets you a bit more room. Inhale to lift the chest. You're moving through this cat-cow in your low lunge. The hips can nudge forwards and then they can draw back. Pull the belly button to the spine. Make space between the shoulder blades. Inhale, lifting through the chest. Exhale, rounding and pulling in. This time, we're going to inhale our way to the top. And we're going to exhale the hands to find the floor. Hands are coming down to find the floor, probably just fingertips, because we're a bit tight on space. We usually are a bit tight on space with the knee stacked underneath the chest. You're going to send the left leg back, left toes are tucked, popping the knee off the floor. Remember, you've got that little trick. If it's tricky for you to get your palms down, take the right foot out to the side until there's room to put the palms of the hands down, and that makes it easier to step it back, right foot beside left, find your plank pose. Find your plank pose, releasing the knees if you need to, so half plank if that works better for you. Body weight is shoulders stacked over wrists, hands catching the body weight, fingertips gripping the floor. Find that bottom rib in your mind's eye and hug it into the body. Squeeze the glutes, take an inhale breath. Exhale, release the knees down to the floor. Your choice of a long body stretch. So maybe long through something like a child's pose, maybe anahatasana, puppy pose, or a melting heart pose. Maybe you want a bit of a side stretch, moving the hands around is fine by me. Totally kind of your choice as to how you return to your body, come back to your breath. And then when you're ready, the hands begin to creep in towards the knees, rolling you up to a kneeling shape, and then fingertips supporting the whole time as you tuck the toes and bring the knees away from the mat. So there might be a moment in here that feels great for you. This might be somewhere you don't like to hang out, in which case, you know we're going to a forward fold, you can skip ahead and get there. If you like it here in your little kind of half squat pose, it might feel nice to think about stretching the heels towards the ground. Sometimes it feels great to stretch the fingertips out in front. You've got a kind of little transition shape in this squat that for some people is just exactly kind of what you're after. For others of us, perhaps not. When you feel ready, fingertips to stabilize you the whole time. You're going to begin to send the hips high into your forward fold. Maybe the heels can stay off the floor, really finding that stretch in the calf muscles as you lower the heels to the ground. Fingertips might have left the mat, that's okay. Maybe you need to adjust through your feet, maybe they're too close together or too far apart. You can pedal out the legs, you can have a bit of a wiggle and a shimmy, you can move any way you like. This is your opportunity to kind of unwind the legs, I suppose. And then from there, when you feel ready, pull the belly in, bend through the knees, push the floor away. Inhale, you'll rise to stand. Exhale, the hands come down however you want, however makes sense for you in your body. Very nice. Once you found yourself back there, pause in stillness, just catching your breath, noticing how the body feels. And then you'll take your couple of steps up to the top of your mat. So we'll meet back at the top of the mat. I might show you where we're going. Yeah. So we're going to come through a couple of sun salutations, keeping it reasonably straightforward, familiar shapes, and then we'll begin to add on into a flow. But before we get there, we're going to use a shape that I don't teach very often. You might have come across it, you'll definitely have come across it in other teachers' classes or in kind of the yoga world in general, but it's not a shape I teach very often. So I just want to show you a couple of options for modifying it if you find that it's slightly uncomfortable. So we're going to come into a warrior one, which again is just not one of my kind of wheelhouse shapes, because I tend to prefer lean personally towards a lunge. So I'm going to show you a warrior one stance, but I'm going to show you it head on because it's interesting at that point to see the modifications that you could make. So in our warrior one, classical alignment brings heel to heel with the back toes out at a 45-degree angle. The right hip would then be cranked around, so two hips facing forwards, arms are overhead, often palms are pressed together. So in my body, this shape it's just not my favorite. It just doesn't suit me hugely. So one of the modifications that I find really useful is modifying the positioning of the feet. So instead of on a tightrope, you're on sort of train tracks, which makes it much easier to bring that right hip around. Hands can press together, or arms can just reach straight up. So if you're somebody who tends to find that cranking that right hip around with the feet heel to heel, as I might mention because it's just sort of indoctrinated in me, if bringing that right hip around doesn't feel good or it cranks into your lower back, go a little bit wider with your feet. Go a little bit wider still if that still doesn't suit. So feet on a train tracks rather than on a tightrope is your kind of easiest way to make warrior one a little bit more kind of body friendly if you are somebody who struggles with it. So let's bring ourselves to the top of the mat, and we'll get into how we're going to find ourselves there. You're going to bring the heels and toes so they touch, so feet are side by side. And once you've got yourself there, let the arms just hang, maybe rolling back the shoulders, steadying out your breath. Watch for the beginnings of that inhale breath, and when it kicks in, you're going to sweep the fingertips down and up, bringing the bum low, scooping yourself into that chair pose. So knees are pressing together, your fingertips are reaching up towards the place where the wall meets the ceiling, or out in front if it's stressful on your shoulders. The hips are sitting back and down, and if you glance down, you can see your big toes. Think about pulling that bottom rib in towards the body. Take an inhale breath here. And as you exhale, dive it long over the legs, all the way down, all the way down. So coming into your forward fold with your legs together is a slightly different vibe. If you need to bend the knees, you absolutely still can do that. When you feel ready, it's your halfway lift. Inhaling the hands up the fronts of the legs, maybe to act as a guide, especially at the beginning, inflating through the back body. Exhale, fold your way back in, long over the legs. Fingertips to stabilize you, and you'll send the right leg back behind you. The right leg lands back behind you. The palms will find the floor. Again, use that little trick of taking the left foot wide if you need to. And the left foot will step back to join the right foot. We're going to find ourselves in downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, maybe you want to pedal out the legs or adjust your hands and feet. It's your first time here. So make the most of these extra few breaths to kind of get to grips with how the body feels as you come into downward facing dog for the first time this evening. Don't forget, you can keep a deep bend in the knees. You could keep the heels away from the floor, but maybe making their way down towards the mat gradually with time. Take an inhale breath when you're ready. Exhale, maybe have a sigh through your mouth. Inhale to look forwards between the hands. Walk feet to hands or hands to feet a little bit if you need to. Feet are side by side at the top of the mat. From here, when you're ready, fingertips sweep down and then up, bringing you back into your chair pose on an inhale breath. Fingertips are reaching towards the ceiling or straight out in front. Low belly hugs in, bum sticking out back behind you. You can see your big toes. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, dive in, long over the legs, all the way down. Bend in the knees if you need to. Inhale to begin your halfway lift, lengthening up through the back of the body. Exhale, fold your way in. Fingertips to stabilize you as you send your left leg back. Your right leg to join it. Remember, take it wide if you struggle to get the palms down. We're back in our downward facing dog. Downward facing dog, you pedal, shimmy, whatever you feel like you need to. You can move or you can be still. When you feel ready, inhale to look forwards between your hands. Walk feet to hands or hands to feet. Entirely your choice. Feet are side by side. Sinking the body long over the legs. And then when you're ready, catching an inhale breath to sweep fingertips down and then up, bum sits low. The fingertips almost act as the counterbalance to the bum. You're back in that chair pose. Take an inhale breath here, reach fingertips up. Exhale, dive it in, long over the legs. Definitely thought you were coming up to stand that time, but you are not. Send the right leg back behind you, this time setting yourself up to test out how that warrior one might feel. So your left toes are going to face forwards towards the short edge of the mat. Your right toes might point out on a 45-degree angle and potentially are out a little bit wider, so train tracks through the legs. Your right hip hugs around, points towards the short edge of your mat as you inhale, fingertips high. Coming into your warrior one, just seeing how it feels, just testing it out. Exhale, fingertips to the floor, hands plant down, you're stepping back, downward facing dog. Hips are high, reaching up and back. So as if the hips reaching up and back could lengthen up the lower back. Well, it can. But that's what you're after, thinking, if I reach a little bit more, will there be a little bit more length? When you feel ready, inhale, look forwards between the hands. Walk feet to hands to feet a bit if you need to. Feet are side by side. Still not standing up. Find that long body over the legs. And when you're ready, inhale breath, fingertips sweep, acting as your counterbalance as you sit the hips low, reach fingertips to the ceiling. Find that kind of real switch on through the glutes. So little squeeze of the bum here, the sensation that the heels are digging down into the mat. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, dive long over the legs. Halfway lift, inhale to rise. Exhale to fold. Fingertips to stabilize you as the left leg goes back. Just feeling your way into this warrior one shape. So feet on train tracks. Left toes 45 degrees, so sort of off towards the top corner of your mat if your mat extended out to the side. Hug this left hip around towards the short edge of the mat as you inhale, fingertips rise up high. It might feel a bit wobbly. It might feel a bit peculiar. You might feel like you want to lift the left heel. See if you can keep it down, reaching out and away. Left hip points straight ahead. Inhale here. Exhale, fingertips find the floor. Hands plant down, right foot stepping back. You'll meet in downward facing dog. Adjust it if you need to. Steady breath. On your next inhale, have a look forwards between your hands. Walk feet to hands or hands to feet, don't mind which. And we'll meet at the top of the mat with the heels and toes together. It's your last one for a little while. Fingertips sweep forwards and down, up and over, hips sit low. Very nice. Last chair pose. Can you sit a couple of inches lower? Can you squeeze the glutes a little more? Can you hug that bottom rib in? Inhale here. Exhale, press to stand, let the hands come down however you like. Maybe you want to give the legs a bit of a wiggle, a bit of a shake. I definitely do. And maybe you want to move a little bit here. We're going to use some of that stuff and build it into a slightly longer flow. So when you're ready, find yourself up near the top of your space. If you want to grab drinks of water or adjust things, this is sort of your moment to do so. I'm going to adjust my travelling mat. I don't know what happens, but whatever, it doesn't matter what I'm teaching, how I'm moving, it travels towards that corner of the room. Sort of something magnetic over there. It heads backwards. So when you're ready, we'll find ourselves feet roughly hip width distance apart, stood near the top of the mat. That's a good sign. That means it's not chair pose. So at least there's that. Find your feet. Anchor down through your left foot. Firm up the left leg. Draw the right knee up. Right foot up and away from the floor. Knee up in line with the hip. Toes are flexed immediately, right back towards your face. And from here, we're going to inhale the arms up and overhead. And we're going to, if we can, press the palms of the hands together. So the palms of the hands pressing together, up and overhead, giving you that kind of steady contact. You can cross the thumbs over here, if that helps you to find that good contact between the palms. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, you're going to send the right leg back, nice and slow, tipping the body forwards, bringing yourself into an arrow lunge. So the back heel is off the floor. Those palms pressed together, shoot out in front. Big, powerful, reach through the body. A little bit of a shake in the front leg, a little bit of a shake in the belly maybe. Inhale here. Exhale to land the right heel and to begin to stroke the right hand. Back along the left hand, open back along the left arm, across the chest, and to pull you back towards the back of the space as you unfurl into something a bit like Warrior Two. You're going to inhale here, looking back. You're going to exhale, look forward, sink into that Warrior Two. So really find yourself settling in, hips tracking low into that Warrior Two with the arms spread wide. Very nice. From here, when you feel ready, you're going to use an inhale breath to look back, reach back slightly. Let the hand fold back in, sliding back along the chest, bringing the palms of the hands eventually back together. And as they come, you will probably need to lift up those right toes to bring yourself back into something a bit like your arrow lunge. Firm up your left foot, strong through your left glute, big power. You're going to draw the right knee up and in as you bring yourself back to that balance the same as you started. If it didn't happen, don't worry. If it didn't happen, don't worry. You can absolutely readjust. From this position, we'll inhale, lift up through the fingertips. Exhale, slow and steady as you can, driving the right heel out in front to straighten the leg. Super slow, skimming the foot past the floor like an incredibly slow motion running man. You're going to draw yourself back, straight leg, means you'll find your Warrior One. So as that leg comes back, it comes back straight. It's going to reach back behind you. The heel will find the floor, 45-degree angle maybe, Warrior One position. Big inhale, lift up through the chest. Exhale, hands separate as you dive the fingertips down to find the floor. Fingertips coming down to find the floor, and from there you're stepping left foot back to right foot, and we'll meet in downward facing dog. Yes, downward facing dog with the hips high. Adjust through the feet, anchor down through the hands. Hips are high. From this position, when you feel ready, you're going to rise high onto the tiptoes on an inhale, ripple and roll it forwards out to hit your plank pose. Find that bottom rib, know where it is and what it's doing. Can you draw it in towards the body? Take an inhale here. Exhale, release the knees to the floor. Release the body to the floor, coming down in one piece if you can. The elbows are going to snap in alongside the body as if they were reaching back to touch the points of the hips. And from there, with the elbows hugging in, you'll squeeze the bum and rise up. Exhale, you'll lower the body down. We're going to go for one more exactly like that. Elbows drawing back, fingertips just a little bit back behind the shoulders. The guide, they often say, is thumb in line with your nipple. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, lower the body down. Hands plant down on the floor. You're going to tuck the toes, bring the body back through that lovely moment of whatever your usual kind of long body stretch feels like. And then eventually we'll meet back in downward facing dog with the hips high. From downward facing dog, when you feel ready, you're going to bring the feet together. The big toes are side by side. The heels don't have to touch because they're probably up in the air, because everything gets a bit tighter when we go feet side by side. Inhale to draw the right leg up and away. And as you do, see if you can feel the right leg lifted by a squeeze of the right bum cheek. So really, really big power in the right glute. Inhale it up. Exhale, drive the knee in towards the chest. Almost slow motion, as if you're trying to punch the knee in towards the face. Inhale, the leg is going up and back. The heel is going to lead. You're going to squeeze the right bum cheek. Exhale, you'll punch the knee in towards the body. Coming in super slow motion. It comes in as far as it can. And this time, you're going to release the right shin onto the floor with the right ankle swinging up towards the left wrist. It probably will not go to a straight position, but we don't really want it to. We're totally fine with the shin on the floor at that 45-degree angle. So as if your right heel is tracking over towards your left thigh. You're going to scoot your left toes back a little bit, and it looks like the beginning of pigeon, but we're going to keep it active here. So this is where my demonstration will probably fall apart. But what we're looking for is to come up onto the fingertips. To think about pressing down through the floor, through the left toes, and the top of the right foot, which is over on your left, so it's a bit hard to find in your mind's eye. Push down through the top of the right foot, see if there is any chance that you might be able to hover the fingertips away from the floor. If you can, maybe you're going to go for an inhale, spread the arms out wide. Find that kind of flying pigeon. Big reach back through your left heel. Reach, reach, reach back through the left heel. From there, fingertips are coming back to find the floor. Maybe they already have, through a bit of a wobble. Hands are on the floor. You're going to maybe draw the left toes back in a touch so that you can step your way back to downward facing dog. So we're going to play with that a little bit more when we come through a second round. But that is the direction that we are sort of headed in. That kind of lifted, active pigeon. When you feel ready, take an inhale, look forwards between your hands. Walk feet to hands or hands to feet, whichever suits you. And we'll meet in our forward fold, just taking an extra breath maybe, to let the body hang out over the legs, to catch back up with yourself, to let the head hang, the neck relax. When you feel ready, it's an inhale breath, bending the knees, sweep the arms up and overhead, rise to stand. Exhaling, the hands come down however you like. Steady yourself here. And then from this position, we start exactly the same on the other side. So anchor down through the right leg, firm up through the right foot, lift the left knee, left foot comes up and away from the floor. If it wobbles to begin with, reset it and then catch yourself. So from this position, with the right foot reaching down, scrunching the toes into the center of the earth, the right glute switched on and firm. Inhale the arms up and overhead. See if you can press the palms of the hands together. The hands are in prayer over the head. And if you need to cross the thumbs, you can. Take an inhale breath here. Exhale, you're going to shoot the left leg back as the right toes tip forward. You're coming through a bent leg to bring yourself into that arrow lunge. Really long shape through the body, as if the heel and the toe, as if the heel and the fingertips were stretching away from one another. Take an inhale breath here, a little bit of a shake maybe. Exhale to lower the left heel and to begin to stroke the arms open into your warrior two. Let the left hand stroke the gaze back. Doesn't matter if it doesn't look like warrior two to begin with. You're going to inhale, reach back. You're going to exhale, settle it into your warrior two. So bend in the front knee stacked over front ankle, arms actively reaching out in the opposite directions. Settle yourself here. An extra breath. Your next inhale draws you back, you'll look back. Fold the elbows, stroke the left hand in across the chest. Finding your way back, there will come a point where you just have to naturally lift up that left heel. It's going to have to go with you so that you can get the palms of the hands together. You're back out in your arrow lunge or something a bit like it. You're going to fire up the left glute and the right hip flexor to pull you back into that balance that you started in, with the left knee lifted and the palms pressed together. Yes, if it doesn't happen, don't worry, have a wobble. That's what it's about. Take an inhale breath here. Exhaling, begin to reach out through the left heel. You're going for super slow motion, every muscle in your left leg engaged. As you sweep it through, it hovers, it skims past the floor, it comes back behind you and finds that 45-degree angle. You can adjust it if you need to, and you're settling into warrior one. So, difference between warrior two and warrior one. Warrior two, open. Warrior one, closed. Pointing towards the short edge of your mat, probably a shorter step between your feet as well. Palms are pressing together. Take an inhale breath here. Exhale, you're diving in, separate the hands as the fingertips find the floor. Hands are coming down, fingertips to find the floor, and we're stepping it back to downward facing dog. So again, you've got that little trick of taking the foot on the outside of the hand if you struggle to get the step back to downward facing dog in one go. That is a useful one. From your downward facing dog, when you feel ready, you're going to bring the big toes together. You're going to think about firing. So it's almost as if there is a string tied around your left ankle. And when you squeeze your left glute, that string shortens up and it immediately drags the left heel up and away from the floor with an inhale breath. Exhale, punching the knee in towards the face. So a really strong movement, almost in slow motion. Inhale, squeeze the left glutes and the left heel up and back. It's supposed to be hard, it's supposed to be a bit shaky. Exhale, draw the knee in towards the chest. Big, powerful movement. This time when it comes in, swing the left ankle up towards the right wrist and let the shin find the floor. So it's down at an angle. You're going to hop the right toes back a little bit until that right leg is really strongly extended, shining the back of the knee up towards the ceiling. Come up onto your fingertips. Feel like this side is a little stronger for me. So maybe you'll notice a difference here between the two sides of the body. You're going to press down through the right toes and also try and press down through the top of the left foot and see if that means you're able to bring the fingertips up and away from the floor. If you can, fingertips might spread out wide. So real kind of open in the chest, as if you're flying through the air. You're flying pigeon. Press the back of the knee up towards the ceiling. From here, exhaling, hands come down as carefully as you can. Very nice. So what you're looking to feel is this left bum cheek on fire as you come out of that. So you're really softening back down before you step it back to downward facing dog. Hips are high. Maybe a bit of a walk it out through the backs of the legs. We're really getting some quite fiery stuff going on at the glutes and at the hip flexors with all this kind of leg movement in different directions. When you feel ready, inhaling, you're going to look forwards between the hands. You could hop if you feel ready for that, or you could walk it up, feet towards the hands at the top of the mat. Hanging out of the legs, maybe a bit of a walk, whatever you feel like you need. And then when you're ready, bending in the knees, inhale the arms up high. Rise to stand, exhale, the hands are coming down however you like. Steady the breath, take a breath here. Stillness if you can. Nice, we've got time for that one more round that I promised you. This time we're going to work through the shapes that we've been in, nice and fiery, and then we're going to change them at the end of the flow for something a little bit softer. So moving around the mat in a slightly different way. So find yourself steady, top of the mat. I need to be this side. Anchor down through the left leg, lift the right knee up and away from the floor. Right foot comes up and away from the floor, toes are immediately flexed. When you're ready, it's an inhale to bring the arms up and overhead. Palms of the hands pressed together across the thumbs. Find a length in the sides of the waist if you can here. Fingertips reaching up to brush the ceiling. Inhale to rise up. Exhale to send the right heel back, let the body tip forwards. You're going to come into that powerful arrow lunge. The second those back toes touch the floor, the whole back line of the body is switched on, especially right glute, back of the right leg, shine it up towards the ceiling. Big inhale here. Exhale to let the right heel lower down and to begin that slide open into your warrior two. Hands stroking you in, bringing you into a kind of big star shape first, looking back, inhale here. Exhale to sink into your warrior two, the hips dropping down, the arms coming into that powerful reach for either direction. Gaze out over your front fingertips. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale to reach it back. Exhale to fold at the elbow and stroke your way back in. You'll lift the right heel because it'll just have to. As you bring body weight more forwards into the left foot, palms of the hands find each other. Clamp through the hands, find that strong reach forwards, big, powerful inhale breath. Rise back up to where you started. From here, nice and strong through the right leg, but in the opposite direction. So instead of powering the leg back, we're going to think about powering the leg forwards. Push out through the right heel, straighten up the right leg, and then let it come back, skim past the floor. Straight leg steps you into your warrior one, with the toes out at an angle, the hips pointing forwards. Perfect. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, let the fingertips separate as you bring the hands down. Fingertips steady on the mat, stepping you back to your downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, you can have a walk out through the legs, a pedal, a shimmy, whatever you feel like you need. And then when you're ready, we'll rise high off the tiptoes. Roll the body forwards to plank. Pulling the belly in, you'll hit plank. Take your inhale breath. Exhale, lower the knees to the floor, lower the body to the floor. See if you can use one exhale breath to bring the whole body down in one piece. The elbows snap back in as if they were reaching for the top of the hips. The hands anchor down, the feet press down. You squeeze the bum and you'll inhale to rise. Your little baby cobra, not a massive back bend because we're not doing tons of back bending. Exhale to lower. If you've got that in your practice anyway, you're welcome to go for it. Inhale will rise. But if this feels like the right fit, sticking here. Exhale to lower. Hands pressing down. Your choice of long body stretch as you make your way back to downward facing dog. Hips are high as we meet back in downward facing dog. Once you've got yourself there, you're going to bring big toes together side by side. You'll anchor down through the hands, and in your own time, when you feel ready, when that inhale breath kicks in, squeeze the right glute, feel the string tighten up, lift the right heel up and away from the floor. It might not go high. We're not looking for a big kind of kick into the air. We're more interested in big power, big control. All the way up with the inhale, exhale, point the toes, drive the knee in towards the chest. Roll off the left toes as you get the knee close to the face. And then inhale, heel drives back, right heel kicks up and back, squeeze the right glute. Exhale, right knee into the chest, point the toes, draw the knee in, as far as it will go, and then you're going to swing that right ankle up towards the left wrist and let the right shin find the floor. Back to our active pigeon. Little challenge for you if you're interested in it. I don't know if I can pull this off talking and demonstrating. We're going to find the left heel the left toes moving back until the left leg is strong and straight, the back of the left knee extended up towards the ceiling. You're coming up onto your fingertips, you're pushing down through both legs, and if you can, you're more than welcome to rise up, expand out through the fingertips. If you've got that, you might play around here and see if there is any opportunity, perhaps, for your left toes to take off the mat, to find yourself in a flying pigeon. Just make sure you're able to get those hands down. If it's interesting to you, if it feels like a fun challenge, you're welcome to give it a couple of goes. We'll see if I can go back in while I'm not speaking to you. So those back toes, just sort of make that little break with the mat, coming up and away. Fingertips will find the floor. So when you're done playing with it, all you're going to do is release the left knee to the ground and let your pigeon just go slightly softer. So maybe untucking the back toes. You're letting the hips sit down towards probably the right heel, which is tucked in towards the front of the left thigh. The palms of the hands could find the floor. If it's a part of your practice and you're interested, you're welcome to bring the elbows down to the mat and let the head hang. if having the elbows down on the mat, it just seems like a reach too far for your pigeon pose, don't worry about it. You're welcome to stay up on your hands. Both legs are pretty relaxed here, and there is probably a big stretch up the outside edge of the right hip, moving up to the right glute, getting into the places that we've been working really hard. When you feel ready, if you're way down on your elbows or even down on your kind of chest, you're going to press the floor away and bring yourself back to that upright position for pigeon. You're going to let your right bum cheek roll to the ground and just let your left knee bend the way it probably wants to. So you're going to come to sitting up. Just spin it around for you. You might want to put the hands down, probably one in between the crook of the legs and one behind you, and just adjust the hips so you're facing your right shin now. I'm going to keep spinning so you can see it all the way around. So it ends up looking like this. From this position, you might, if you're finding that the right knee is aggravated, flex the right toes. That's going to switch things on up the front of the shin, keep you a little bit more engaged. When you're ready, inhale, expanding out through the arms, the same as we did in that flying pigeon. Exhale, pull the belly button back to the spine as though you're rounding in. Maybe the fingertips can come out and find the floor in front of the right shin. So you might work a couple of those. I'm going to, if you're very happy here, and this is a position that makes a lot of sense in your body, you're welcome again to come down to your elbows over that right shin. If you'd rather keep moving, I'm going to prefer to keep moving, so I'll move with you. If you'd rather keep moving, it's your inhale to open out, and your exhale to round in, to lean over that right shin. Inhale to open out. Exhale to draw in and over. Your last breath here, maybe you're going to stick with that lean over the right shin. And then you'll walk your way back up to upright. I know chances are you might end up facing away from me here, but you're going to extend out your left leg. Leave your right leg exactly where it is, and as you extend out your left leg, you'll find yourself in our single leg stretch, our Jani Shavasana. Take an inhale breath. When you're ready, bring the arms up and overhead. Turn the body towards your outstretched leg and let the body roll its way down. Hands are going to stay relaxed. So you're not looking to grab or to stretch or to reach towards any part of the leg. Just going to let the hands flop on the floor, and you're going to let the body be led by the chest. So I like to imagine kind of piece of string tied to the front of the chest, drawing me forwards. Maybe the head wants to hang here, which is totally fine, as long as you've got this sensation of a length through the front of the body. When you feel ready, when your body gives you the cue it's time to move, your inhale breath is going to lead with the right hand. The right hand will float up and over. The left hand will follow. The right hand is coming back behind you, and you're reaching up through the left fingertips. If you want to here, you are welcome to lift it up and open into that shape that teachers often call rock star, which I totally hate, as you can imagine. If you're not lifting, you're still reaching. You can point the left toes, get that length all the way down the side of the body. If you've lifted, lower down gently, hips to the floor, left hand will fall its way in. And all we're going to do from here is step it back to find downward facing dog. So your hands come to the mat where they need to. You're going to send the right leg back probably first, and then the left leg to join it. We'll meet in downward facing dog, having a bit of a wiggle, a bit of a shimmy, a bit of a pedal, whatever you feel like you need. When you're ready, inhale, look forwards between the hands. Walk feet to hands or hands to feet, don't mind which. Or a little hop, jump, if you're ready for that. Hanging out over the legs. And then from here, bend in the knees, inhale, the arms rise up. Exhale, the hands float down, however you like. So making our way back through that on the other side, and it might be that because we've taken a couple of those stiller shapes, the body is more ready to wind down. If you need to take these a little softer, please feel free to. Anchor down through your right foot, firm up the right leg, lift the left knee, up in line with the left hip, flex the toes. Inhaling, the arms are coming up and overhead, palms of the hands pressed together. Thumbs can cross over, just to help find that anchoring. Inhale, fingertips reach for the ceiling. Exhale, hinge it back, left leg shooting back behind you, left toes to find the floor, heel is lifted. Everything in the back of the body fires up into that arrow lunge. Inhale, reach fingertips forwards. Exhale, lower the left heel, stroking your way open into your warrior two, or something like the beginning of a warrior two, but a bit wonky. You're inhaling to look back. You're exhaling to sink into it for a breath. And then when you're ready, you'll inhale to look back, be pulled backwards. Fold at the elbows, stroke your way back in, palms of the hands, eventually coming back together. But to do that, the left heel is going to have to lift. You're going to have to turn that left hip inwards. You're finding big power, left glute and right hip flexor to draw you back up to that balance you started in. Woo, a little bit wobbly there. Once you've got yourself there, inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, firm up through the left leg, kick the heel out and forwards, drive the heel out, and then straight leg scoops back, skims past the floor, whole of the leg is switched on as you step back to find your warrior one position, hips forwards, straight leg, nice and strong. Inhale here. Exhale, sweeping the hands to find the floor. Fingertips to find the floor. From here, we're planting the palms and sending it back to downward facing dog. Maybe pedal out through the backs of the legs. So from this downward facing dog, we're going to float through our vinyasa. If that is not of interest to you, you're welcome to rest in child's pose if you'd rather. If you've got it, you'll inhale, roll off the toes, pull yourself forwards to plank. Hands catch the body weight. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, lower the knees and then the chest to the floor. Or maybe the whole body in one go. Elbows hugging in alongside the rib cage. You'll find two little rises up into a baby cobra. Your exhale lowers you down. Exhale lowers you down. From here, tucking the toes underneath, you'll find your way back through your kind of big stretch of the body to downward facing dog when you're ready. No hurry to get there, take your time. Set it up nice and strong. Because you know where you're going, you're going to bring the big toes together. Bringing the big toes together and firming up through the back of the left leg. The left glute squeezes, the left heel lifts. Not high again, but just looking for that big power up the back of the leg. Exhale, knee into the chest, pointing the toes maybe as you go. Inhale, let the heel lead, driving you up and back. Squeeze the left glute. In, I've lost track of it. It's exhale as you come in. Knee to chest, pull the belly in. All the way in towards the face. Let the left heel swing up towards the right wrist and let the shin find the floor. So coming through that active version of pigeon first. We're going to send the right toes back, right leg is long and straight. We're pressing down through the right toes and down through the front of the left shin, top of the left foot, and maybe coming up onto our fingertips. And I'm not sure if I can do this and talk, so we'll give it a couple of goes. You sort of know where you're going from last time, so if you want to just play with it, you're welcome to. It's fingertips rising, opening out to the sides, slightly back behind you potentially. You're strong in that back leg, and maybe the back toes can just begin to break the contact with the floor. Making sure you can get your hands down is really important. If you can fire up the front of that right foot, there is definitely power, sorry, front of the left foot even, there is definitely power in pressing down through the front of those left toes. No chance am I getting this one off the ground on this side. Have a couple of goes at it if it's interesting to you. If it's not, you're welcome to just stay still here, finding that stretch through the left hip. When you are ready to come down into softness, all you're going to do is release the right knee, release the right toes and let the hips sink towards the floor, but not over to the side. You're not keeling over, you're trying to let the hips sink down square in front. Maybe drop into the elbows if you've got the space to do that, or staying up on the hands. If you've got loads of room here and you feel quite comfortable in your pigeon, you're welcome to stretch the hands out in front and bring the body down towards the floor. And wherever you are, this posture has the tendency to kind of lull you into a false sense of security. It's a nice stretch at the beginning and then it's quite quickly very intense. So make sure you've got that steady breath working in your favour. When you feel ready, if you're extended right out, you'll gently walk the hands up and in, coming back to your elbows and then pressing the floor away. If you weren't down on your elbows, perfect. You're going to stay here on your hands. You're going to let the left bum cheek come down to find the floor. Let the right knee bend the way it probably just naturally wants to in order for you to come to sit up. You're going to spin it around again. So you guys can stay where you are, or you can spin to face the camera if you need to. What you want is your hips. Maybe you're going to lift them up, put them down again, but you want them facing up towards your left shin. Your left toes can be flexed, and your right leg is back. So you've got two 90-degree angles, a 90-90 stretch, if you will. When you're ready, inhale, open the arms out wide. Exhale, fingertips fold in, out in front of your left shin. So leaning in towards that shin as you come down. If you want to keep moving, you're welcome to keep moving. If you'd rather be still here, if you've got the space to come to your elbows here, you're welcome to do that. When you're ready, if you're moving, find that inhale. Exhale, you'll bring yourself in. This next one is your last breath, so maybe leaning into the stretch over that leg. And then walking your way back up. When you feel ready, extending out your right leg. Bringing you into your kind of single leg stretch, your Janushirasana, which will take pretty relaxed. When you're ready, inhale the arms overhead. Exhale to fold your way down softly over your extended right leg. Remember, your hands are doing their best not to grip and grab. Instead, they're just coming to softness either side of the leg. You're bringing your left shoulder around, so two shoulders are pointing out in the same direction as your toes, and you're letting the chest draw forwards over the shin. Maybe the head's going to hang. It's fine if it wants to. Keep the chest drawing forwards. And then from here, when you are ready, when it's your moment to move, the left hand is going to lead you up and out. The right hand is going to follow. The left hand comes back behind you. The right arm points up towards the ceiling. Maybe you're going to point the right toes. And if you want to, it's that lift of the hips, reaching up and back through the right arm. Length all the way down the front of the body. And then from here, if you've lifted, lower down. We're going to scoop the knees in. And instead of coming back through to downward facing dog, we're going to bring ourselves down to our back. Take your time to get there, and if you want to grab extra bits and pieces for your Shavasana, you're more than welcome to do that. But we're bringing ourselves down onto our back carefully, bringing yourself down in your own time. We'll find ourselves down on the back, and just come into a last few little bits of movement here before we drop into total stillness. So finding yourself with the back body soft and relaxed on the floor, we're going to extend out through the left leg and draw the right knee just gently in towards the right armpit. And I'd love for you to do this in a way that feels soft. So my suggestion is to not involve your left arm, to just let the weight of your right hand encourage your right knee in towards your right armpit. So gentle, kind of soft drawing in. So your half restorative happy baby here. And the pose names end up with about 4 words in them. When you feel ready, you're going to pass this right knee into your left hand as it rolls across the body. So you're going to switch it over. Left hand is going to encourage the right knee over the center line of the body. And you might choose to extend out through your right arm or bring it up into a cactus arm if that suits you better. You could choose here to let the knee hover in space with just the gentle weight of the left hand resting on it, or you might want to scooch the left hip underneath the body slightly so you can bring the right knee down to the floor. It is entirely your choice. So what I did there was I just rolled up onto the side of the hip to let the right knee come over and down. If you're struggling with it in space and you don't know how far away the floor is, let your foot come down and find the floor. It will be much closer than you think it is. You could look out over your right hand if you want to, and if that feels good for the neck. When you feel ready, No rush, no hurry, take your time. You know where you're going. It's those same 2 movements on your other side, so no hurry to get there. You can always catch us up. But you'll roll your way back through to center. Maybe give the right knee one last little hug in, and then you'll send it out long, extending out through the right leg and drawing the left knee up and into the chest. If you need to readjust the hips, you're welcome to. So remember, we're looking for this in a softer way. Maybe just the left hand is involved, the right hand rests on the floor or on the belly, and your left knee is coming out to the side slightly, in and down. So happy baby rather than knee to chest, out to the side. Just gently, looking for that kind of open sensation in the hip, in the chest, the whole back body resting on the floor. When you feel ready, the left hand passes the left knee to the right hand, carefully, gently, and you're going to draw that left knee over and across the body. Again, you've got choices. You can let it hover in the air, which it will do unless you scooch your hips probably slightly over. Or you could choose to scooch up and on to the edge of that right hip, so you've got more space to bring it over. It's totally your choice. There is value in both types of movement. This internal rotation is often an interesting one for the hip. We do a lot of external opening stuff in yoga in particular. So bringing it in towards the body is often kind of interesting and crunchy. It gets a good stretch through the glute, through the back of the leg. When you feel ready, gently roll yourself back through to the center. Maybe give the left knee a squeeze in one last time, or any final movements that you need, and then you're releasing yourself down into your Shavasana. So take any final movements that you feel like you need here. Absolutely give yourself enough time to wiggle and stretch and shake off any last little bits of movement or energy that you need to. And when you do feel ready to bring yourself to stillness, find a shape that works for you. Maybe the legs are extended out long, or maybe the soles of the feet rest on the floor and the knees point up towards the ceiling. Or maybe it's a different shape entirely. Your final resting pose, your Shavasana, wants to be a place you can sink into stillness. And the stillness we find ourselves in here is just a byproduct of being comfortable. So really doing your best to make sure that you are as comfortable as you're able to be. Letting the back of the body release into the floor. Letting the body begin to become heavy. Heavy and still. Letting the breath slow and come back to its natural, easy, relaxed ebb and flow. Letting the mind begin to drop into stillness, maybe into some quiet, maybe finding that sensation of heavying down towards the back of your skull. When you feel ready, bring your attention gently back to your breath. And without feeling the need to move the body, you're going to let your attention start to draw towards the surface. Coming up towards the surface of the body. Noticing the cool inhale rushing through the nostrils, bringing with it into the body new fresh energy, prana or life force. Enough energy maybe when you're ready to find a wiggle through the fingertips, a point and flex and stretch through the toes, or roll at the ankles or the wrists. If you want to stay here a little bit longer, there's no hurry to move. When you feel ready, there might be a big enough stretch to take the arms up and overhead. A full body stretch, a giant breath in. Maybe you want to draw the knees up and into the chest, giving yourself a bit of a hug. In your own time, you can roll over onto your side and gently, kindly press yourself up to sit, finding a comfortable seated position. Maybe the eyes stay closed or the gaze is cast down towards the floor. And you're just using these final moments to soak up every last drop of your practice. If you want to seal your practice, you're welcome to do so, bringing the hands to heart center or bowing the head to the heart or anything else that feels right in your body. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I'm sure I'll see you all really soon.